The city pulsed with music, neon lights painting the streets in wild colors. She was far from sober, her laughter unsteady as she stumbled out of the club. With a black card in hand and judgment clouded by alcohol, she made a decision she would never have considered sober. A handsome man appeared at the bar, broad-shouldered, sharp-jawed, and too perfect to be real. Thinking he was just another model for hire, she swiped her card without hesitation. The man said little, his eyes dark with mystery. He followed her silently, not protesting, not asking. In her blurred vision, it felt like a game, a thrill. She wanted to forget her pain, her loneliness, her heartbreak, and this stranger was her escape. By the time they reached her penthouse suite, she was laughing again, tossing her heels aside. She collapsed onto the bed, the world spinning. His presence lingered, steady, calm, watching. She thought she was in control of the night. She thought she had bought a fleeting distraction, but as sleep dragged her under, she didn't realize this was no ordinary man. Fate had just entered her life wearing the face of a stranger. The morning sunlight was merciless, stabbing through the curtains. Her head pounded as she turned, groaning at the taste of regret on her lips. She reached for water only to freeze. He was still there. The man from last night leaned casually against the wall, arms folded, his presence filling the room with unnerving calm. He wasn't the kind of man who should linger after being paid. Too composed, too confident. His expensive-looking watch gleamed in the light. Her stomach dropped. "Why are you still here?" she demanded, voice hoarse. He tilted his head, his expression unreadable. "You asked me to stay." She flushed, trying to recall the details of her drunken night, but it was a blur of laughter and neon. She wanted to scream at herself. Models weren't supposed to talk like this, to look at her with such sharp intensity. "I don't need you anymore," she muttered, grabbing a robe. "Take your money and go." But instead of leaving, he walked closer. His gaze pinned her in place, his lips curving into the faintest, most unsettling smile. "I don't want your money," he said softly. "I'll see you again." And then, just like that, he left. The following days unsettled her. She expected never to see him again, to bury that drunken mistake in silence. But his face wouldn't leave her mind, the cold smile, the way he said, "I'll see you again." And then she did see him again. At a luxury fashion boutique, he appeared without warning. She froze, clutching a bag, as he stood there in a tailored suit that fit him like a second skin. No hint of the model she thought she'd hired. He looked more like the kind of man people moved aside for without question. "So you're following me," she accused. His lips curved. "Or maybe we were meant to cross paths." Every word he spoke dripped with control, as if he held a secret she couldn't access. It rattled her. She had always been the one in charge, the one with wealth and power. Yet here, under his gaze, she felt stripped of it. When he leaned closer, his voice lowered in a dangerous whisper. "You'll find I'm not someone you can buy so easily." Her pulse quickened. Who was he really? The model from her drunken night had returned, but nothing about him seemed ordinary. The truth shattered her world at a charity gala weeks later. She walked into the glittering ballroom, her black gown hugging her frame, only to feel her steps falter as the announcer's voice boomed. "Please welcome our esteemed sponsor and CEO of Titan Group, Alexander Steele." The room erupted in applause. Her heart stopped. It was him. The man she had drunkenly hired, the stranger she thought she could forget, was now standing on stage, every eye on him, commanding the room with effortless authority. The so-called model was no model at all. He was one of the most powerful men in the city, maybe the world. Her wine glass nearly slipped from her fingers. Memories of that night came rushing back, shame burning her cheeks. And then, across the crowded ballroom, his eyes found hers. That same cold smile curved his lips. Her chest tightened. He wasn't just going to let it go. He knew what she had done, and now, with his true identity revealed, she realized how much more dangerous he really was. The night she thought was a mistake was only the beginning of a much bigger game. Her heart refused to steady as she watched Alexander mingle effortlessly with senators, tycoons, and royalty. He wasn't a man playing dress-up. He belonged here. She, however, felt exposed, like every eye could see her drunken mistake. When she tried to slip away, a firm hand caught her wrist. She turned, breath catching as his tall frame loomed closer. "Leaving so soon?" His tone was polite for the audience, but his eyes held a dangerous gleam meant only for her. "I don't know what you think you're doing," she hissed under her breath. "Don't you?" He countered smoothly. "You paid me, remember?" Her cheeks burned. He was taunting her, dangling her secret like a sword. She feared he might expose her recklessness, yet he didn't. Instead, he whispered something that chilled her more than any threat. "Relax. I have no intention of selling your humiliation yet." He released her, leaving her trembling. Why hadn't he told anyone? Why was he keeping her secret? But the way he watched her, as if she were a puzzle he intended to solve, left her with a haunting realization. This wasn't mercy. This was a game, and she had just become his favorite piece. Days later, she received a summons, not an invitation but a demand. Delivered in a sleek black envelope, embossed with the Titan Group seal, it left her breathless. When she arrived at his skyscraper office, she expected confrontation. Instead, he slid a folder across his desk. Inside lay a contract, cold, precise, and terrifying. Her eyes skimmed the terms, disbelief clawing at her. It wasn't about money. It wasn't about business. It was about her. "You can refuse," Alexander said coolly, leaning back in his leather chair. "But then perhaps your little transaction will become public." Her stomach dropped. He had her cornered and he knew it. "Why me? You could have anyone." His smirk was infuriating. "Because you dared to buy me. That makes you interesting." Every instinct screamed to run. But walking away meant ruin. Staying meant binding herself to a man who thrived on control. With trembling hands, she signed. He leaned forward, his voice a whisper of victory. "Good girl." In that moment, she realized the trap wasn't just legal. It was personal. And she wasn't sure if she feared losing her freedom, or feared how much she secretly wanted to stay. Life under Alexander's contract was chaos. He inserted himself into her days. Dinners, events, even private moments. Wherever she turned, there he was, steady and infuriating. She told herself she hated him. Hated his smug smile, his arrogance, the way he looked at her as if he owned her. But her body betrayed her. Each accidental brush of his hand set her skin aflame. Every stolen glance left her breathless. One night during a gala, he pulled her onto the dance floor. His hand pressed against her lower back, firm and unyielding. She stiffened, whispering, "People are watching." "Let them," he murmured, his lips grazing her ear. Her pulse raced. She wanted to shove him away, but instead, she found herself melting against him. The room disappeared. Only the two of them remained, locked in a dangerous rhythm. When the music ended, she staggered back, furious with herself. "You can't keep doing this," she snapped. Alexander's gaze darkened, his voice husky with something between threat and promise. "Oh, I can. And you'll stop pretending you don't want it." Her heart thundered. Hate and desire were becoming impossible to tell apart. Beneath Alexander's polished armor, cracks began to show. She noticed the way his jaw tightened at certain names, the rare flicker of pain when his past was mentioned. One evening, she found him alone on his penthouse balcony, staring into the night. "Do you ever get tired of controlling everything?" she asked softly. His eyes met hers, stormy and vulnerable. For the first time, he didn't deflect with sarcasm. "Control is the only thing that kept me alive." Her chest ached. She wanted to ask more, but before she could, headlights flashed below. A car idled too long outside the building. Alexander's expression hardened instantly. Later, whispers reached her ears, rivals, enemies, people who wanted Titan Group destroyed, and maybe wanted him dead. She realized then that being in his world wasn't just dangerous emotionally, it was dangerous literally. Yet, instead of pulling away, she felt an unfamiliar urge to protect him, as though behind the billionaire armor, there was a man worth saving, and that thought terrified her more than any enemy. It happened unexpectedly, a stormy night, a power outage, and the two of them trapped together in his mansion. With no distractions, no masks, he let his guard slip. He told her about his childhood, growing up with nothing, clawing his way to power, losing people he loved to betrayal. His voice cracked when he confessed the loneliness of being surrounded by wealth yet starved of trust. Her heart softened. The arrogant billionaire, the cold CEO, The manipulative man who had trapped her with a contract was also a scarred soul aching for something real. Without thinking, she reached for his hand. "You don't always have to fight alone," she whispered. His eyes darkened, not with arrogance, but with need. In that moment, he kissed her, not with the dominance she expected, but with desperation, as if she were the only person keeping him alive. The kiss ignited something neither could deny. She realized she didn't just want him. She felt him, every broken piece, every guarded wall. And he, for the first time, allowed himself to be vulnerable with someone who had once been nothing more than a mistake. The media storm hit like wildfire. A photo of them together leaked, her in his arms, his lips dangerously close to hers. Headlines blared, scandals spread, and her reputation teetered on the edge of ruin. "Walk away," her friends urged. "Save yourself before he destroys you." But Alexander's enemies also closed in. A hostile takeover threatened his empire. And betrayal lurked within his closest circle. He was fighting for survival, and now she was caught in the crossfire. One night he stood before her, battle-weary yet unyielding. "If you stay, you'll be dragged into my war. If you leave, you'll be safe. Choose." Her heart tore in two. Walking away meant freedom. Staying meant risking everything. And yet, as she looked at him, the man who had gone from stranger to tormentor to something she could no longer deny, her decision became clear. She stepped closer, eyes blazing with defiance. "Then we fight together." For the first time, Alexander smiled. Not cold, not mocking, but genuine. Their story had begun with a drunken mistake. Now it burned with a love powerful enough to challenge the world.